Well, I know it's been 3 months, and I'm trying to get back on track with all the bits I was making before. So fingers crossed, here we go. At least it's got to look on the bright side. I made this graduating tool. Hello and welcome back to the Quorn. Now this is the next piece we want to put the graduations on, hence the manufacturer of the Hemingway graduating tool. Now you notice I've mounted it. I had this old, it's still in good nick, little compound slide for a mini lathe from ages ago, so I put it on the block. Now I put this all on the block for when I was going to use my rotary table, which I found was a load of rubbish. So as per the little shot I did, I went out and bought one of these. Now if you want to know how good they are, go and watch Alan's review on Enoch's Engineering. He covers one of these, but I've had it in the chuck, I've spun it round, and I've got that running with inside a couple of thou, so that's not bad. Now the thing is, I made this the same tool like with my rotary table, so we're about 15 mil out. So I don't know if you can hear in the background the lathes going. So here we are. I found this plate with a hole in it. God knows where it's from, not a clue. So what I'm doing is recessing it out. Approximately, I'll wait till I've done 14 and then I'll measure. I'll take it out and measure and see where I am. I want just below, backwards and forwards, I want just below the tool height of this, of the little tool, and then I can shim this up a little bit. Anyway, that's the idea. Right, well I've finished the plate. Now what I've done, I recessed it 5 mil because I reckoned that would give me just under maybe a mil or so, and I can soon pack it up. Now when I made this, I made a location peg so it would sit. I can clamp it. Now lucky for me, it's still sticking through a bit. When I get it, there we go. And when I check by eye, we're about a millimetre under. I've got a little, you probably can't see, well, you might be able to. I've got a little centre in there. So I'm going to set it. I'm going to get my feeler gauges out, stack them up in here, so that's literally centre right. And then what I'll do, I'll make a shim pile out of some shim stock that I've got in the cupboard, so it's a fixed height, and I know for this that is literally, hopefully, on centre line. It should just make things a lot neater. Now as luck would have it, I think it's about a millimetre, and I had some thin pieces of aluminium, so I've got this lined up. Now as a lot of you will probably know, sometimes if you're doing it by eye, it's a pain in the rear end to see what you're doing. So get a light if you can, and a white piece of paper, and if you get it shining right, what I'm trying to do, you can see that there's not a lot in that, and I'll have that for scribing it up. This piece of paper idea works really well on your lathe as well. If you can shine a torch when you're doing your divisions, when you're setting an angle, anything really, it just reflects the light and gives you a little bit of a better view. Anyway, let's get this set up now. I've got to set this up at an angle now that's the same. There we go. That same angle that's on there. I've got this other little lens on, so I've got to be careful. I'm trying to do this by hand. So I've got to set that angle up on there. That shouldn't be too hard to do because I know what angle it is, and I can probably just set it off the side of the vise. I'll work something out anyway, and I'll get it all set up, and then we'll get cracking with these divisions. I'm now going to attempt to put these divisions on this thimble. We made the thimble. I've got it mounted on my new rotary table, and we're working the maths out. I say I'm going to work the maths out, but let's be honest, there's a chart here. That's the ratio of my dividing head. I want 50 divisions. So if we go down here, 50 divisions, that relates to how many holes on the plate. That relates to how many turns, which is 0. And that number relates to how many holes from the first hole. So your first hole is 0, and then you count 12 holes. Now, I've used rotary tables, God, a long time ago. So I was trying to remind myself how to do it. And basically, that's the ratio of my rotary table. So one turn is 9 degrees. Now we're having 50 divisions on this thing, so 50 into 360 is 7.2 degrees. Now the thing is, if you then, let's get my calculator going again, if you divide 9, we look at a common denominator here, I think, and it's 0.2. We've got 0.2 of a degree. We know that will go into 7. We know it will go into 9. So, if you have 9 divided by 0.2, gives you 45. Now, I haven't got 45 hole plate, but looking at that chart and remembering some of the things when I was an apprentice, that will divide, and it will divide by 3, which miraculously gives you 15. Which it says in the book. Now that's 15 holes. So okay, 15 holes. So you relate them holes, oh, this is the way I've done it just to check on my mind anyway. 7.2 degrees. We know that's 45 holes for 9 degrees. So if we do 7.2 divided by 0.2 gives us 36. Now miraculously, if we divide that by 3 like we did with the 45, gives us 12. Exactly what it says in here. Now I know there's other equations as well, and I'm trying to work my head around it, but we now know it's no full turns. Where's my pen gone? Pencil. So it's 15 holes on the plate, which I've set up. It's 0 full turns, and it's 12 holes from the first hole. So you've got your 0 hole, and then you count 12 to 12. So I've checked myself already by going round all the way. I've done it the long way just to get myself familiar with it, and it seems to work. So what I'm going to do, like what they've got on here, I'm going to mark the major ones first, every 5. So I'm going to do a full score all the way up for every 5, and fingers crossed we'll come back round. Do you know what? I had second thoughts. I built this. This is for making divisions on these things. So I've set the stops up. 2 stops anyway. That's half. I don't know if you can see it from there. Probably not. But it's half the distance on there, on the thimble. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to do 0, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I'm going to flick it back and do the longer one. After all, that's what I made it for. So we'll do 5 and see how we go. Well, if we can see this, I've done the first 5. This is exciting. one long division, 1, 2, 3, 4, then another long one for 5, and we come back to the same hole. Right, fingers crossed, only 45 more to do. Right, I've dialed this back in, good enough for parting off now. I'll clean these divisions up, part it off, leave 1/10 or so on it, then I'm going to hold it in some soft jaws on this diameter and just flick it up to length. Right, that's that bit done. Let's clean it up and go and have a closer look at it. Right, got this macro lens in again, we'll see how it goes. But overall, I'm very happy with that. I haven't marked it yet because I think I want to get a small engraver. And probably, I think you get stencils with them, and I probably will try, instead of stamping it, engrave it. But I'm pleased with that. This, give me a minute. I think this fits in that way. I've got to drill a hole through here, all the way through on this diameter, and there's 2 ball bearings and a spring inside, and if you can imagine, they're forced outwards, and I think that's gonna just need a little bit of tickling to go in there. I probably might have left it a little bit big, I'm assuming. See, but that needs polishing, one or the other. But that's going to go in there, and I think I'll drill a hole first. I'll see what. Have a read the instructions and see what it is. Right, on for the next bit. Right, I've got this hole to drill through this piece. Now, what I've done, instead of gripping on the thread, the sleeve it goes into, I've screwed it into that, and fingers crossed that'll hold. I'll just have to keep an eye on it, make sure it's still tight. Now obviously I found the centre of the chuck on the dividing head, pitched across, touched on the job, pitched across the distance and half the distance of that boss there, and I'm now going to drill through. I think it's an 1/8 drill. No, it's not, it's 3/16. So I'm going to find myself a 3/16 drill, fingers crossed, and I'm going to drill all the way through, and that's for the retaining ball bearings that go in on the other end of the thimble. So I'm going to get a centre drill first, and centre drill it, because I want this hole to be reasonably nice. It's got to be pretty much bang on in the middle of there, and straight way through the middle, and not really touch the side of these, otherwise it's going to interfere. I've obviously got myself a centre drill, or at least will go down through the job, and not touch on the side. And like I say, I've actually just touched on and just got it a little bit, made a little dent in it so it doesn't skid or anything. I had to sharpen the drill at this point, and I know I shouldn't have my fingers in there, but needs must. Right, so I've got this body of the thimble set up now. Luckily for me, I've managed to turn this rotary table, as you can see, up to 90 degrees. Made sure it's level, got a clock on, been all the way around it, 0, 0. Now what I've also done with my handles, I've wound clockwise in as I've been making the movement, so I know I'm winding in, and I took the backlash, so the backlash is took out that way and that way. So if I make any adjustments, which I'm going to have to. Now this body's in, and there is an indent along it that they ask you to scribe when you make it. Now all that's for, 1 minute, is when it's mounted in here, the indent is vertical, and all it's for is for you to look at when you're doing the divisions, just when you're getting a touch on, when you're touching the grinding wheel. So the indent will be facing upwards, so I want these 3 holes. So obviously the first hole is going to be opposite. Now it gives us a PCD. Let me have a look on the drawing. There it is. It's 1.25" PCD. So that's wherever 5/8, something like that. I'll add it up later on. So because I know I've gone this way and took my backlash out, I am going to move that way. Whichever way it is, it doesn't. I'm not bothered because I've already took the backlash out. Now, this rotary table, like I say, if you want a review of it, there's plenty of reviews knocking about. There's one over here, like I say, Alan on Enox. He just reviewed it about 6 months ago. I'm quite happy with it so far, but it's got 24 holes in there. I'm on 0 at the moment, so I'm not really bothered where I start off. If I'm going to be going, let's see, that way, I am going to be winding it off over there, and I'll start here. So what I will do, because I will be bringing my centre over here and I'm on 0, my first hole, I will rotate that round to 180 degrees. So it will take the indent all the way around there, and the first hole will be drilled down there. Well, saying that, I know which way my backlash is. I'm being daft here. I might as well just wind that way and come back onto my backlash, hadn't I? Let's use my head for once, and then I'm here where everyone can see it. And I know my 3 holes are then going to be equally spaced also in between the jaws. Got a bit of a sacrificial packer in there. Now, it asks for 3.2mm drill and then counterboard. Now, I've had a look through my packet and I can't find any Allen bolts that have got a counterboard, a cap head. So I've got some anyway, but looking at the drawing, it is definitely counterboard, and also says so, counterboard. It's not countersunk, it's counterboard. And it's got 5.5. Now, I've measured the head on these cap heads and they're about 5.6, so I'm going to do 5.5. If it does it a little bit over, we'll find out. If not, if I've got any meat left, I will just do them with a 6mm, because that's what I've got and that's what I'm going to do. So right, going to get cracking now. First hole is going to go here. Right, got my Y traverse locked. I've got my feed for my X turned off so I don't accidentally hit it. I am going to wind back, knowing which way I took my backlash out. I'm going to bring this over here, 625, 5/8. I was remembering all my fractions. Right, there's 625, and I am just going to nip up. There we go. And hopefully I've got enough room. Yes. That visual check. That looks roundabouts in the middle. Right, so we're going to pilot these. Then I'm going to go 3.2 and then I'm going to counterbore it. Now I am going to put the M mill in the chuck here. I'm only counterboring. I know it's not very good practice, but just for a counterbore, we shouldn't be too bad. Right, now I am going to try 5.5. I think we've got enough clearance. We'll soon find out. Ooh, just. Now I shall zero out that and find out how deep we're going. I think obviously we want the head of my little 3mm cap head to disappear. Right, the drawing says 3mm deep, or 1/8, which is a difference of a couple of thou, and that is about 3mm, so I would say 3.1, which is 1/8. So got that touched on. Try a bit slower. Right. Won't say it's running brilliantly true, but to be honest, it isn't running that true. Give me a minute, I'm going to swap it out. Right, back again. Before I do that, anyway, it is running a bit out. The head doesn't fit in, so I am going to swap it out for a 6mm and put it in a collet. Right, all that's in a collet. It just touched on. And that's 1/8. Right. Looks like we have actually just a half a thou touched on, but the head of that's going in. That'll just have a rub down, be fine. It wasn't going to go in before, it's going in now. So, right. I should get the other 2 holes done and get back to you. Right, welcome back to macro, maybe-ish, how it looks. Right, I've got this body fastened on now. Now, I have to admit, I've had to tickle these holes out. First off, I thought I drilled them wrong, because when I put them onto the body there, they looked out. Now, I went back on my rotary table, checked everything. I even made a dummy, one of these, and did it with the indexing plate and then did it off the DRO, and it was then that I remembered when I was doing my graduating tool I had a bit of a problem, and I found out my Y scale was a little bit loose, so I'm assuming these holes and maybe them are a little bit out. It's either that or, well, I can just put it down as pilot error. If not, I mean, you can see a little bit there, but they're a little bit out. But I think this has drilled it correct and they are out a little bit, so possibly the same there. When you actually measure across with a vernier, it's close, but you have about 10 thou out, so it will throw it out. So I've just had to tickle these a little bit with some needle files, but it didn't take a lot. And when you get the thread started, there you go, and it's in. Now the next interesting thing is, whoops, it says throwing the spring out. Now this, it tells you, if you watched it, you drill through 3/16, which is all well and good. I had a nice drill because the ball bearings are 3/16 and it was not for going in. They were tight, so I actually found myself, luckily, I think it's a number 12, which is a couple of thou up. It's a metric, it's 4.8 mil. I think what's 3/16? He said, looking at the chart. Yeah, 4.76, and a number 12 is 4.8. So I was lucky enough to have found a 4.8, and the ball bearings, well, now he says with that one sticking a little bit, I'll rub the file inside that hole, but they go through. So the next interesting thing is to put the spring in, the two ball bearings in, and try and get that fastened down on there. I'll be back in a bit. Right, now, the way I've done this is I've got the ball bearing in there. I don't know, you can just see it in there. I managed, it's a little bit skew with. Press this in, use the Allen key, and that's in. It feels a bit stiff, but I think that's the stiffness of the spring, really. So that then, like I say, I've not etched the numbers on here yet. I won't be disassembling it, I know that. I shall etch the numbers while it's on, and obviously that screws up in there, and that is obviously butted up, and I think you can just see there's the witness line in there, and then what you do, you move this round, and obviously, oh, that's a nice tension actually. Now what actually screws in the end, you'll give me a minute to find the right one. Obviously that isn't the right one. Tell you what, let's go back to normal length. Right, normal length. Aha, what's that one? I think that's it. That goes in there, right, off camera, and obviously when you screw this out, or you start off with it, I think out, I can't remember how it goes. I think there's another big spring fits in there. I'll have to, let's tell you what, let's have a look at the big picture. Oh no, sorry, I'm getting all mixed up. The spring goes in the other end that causes tension on the end of that. So right, the spring goes in that end, and that end, as you can, because the back bar holds it steady, that's right. And then obviously as I'm screwing that in, yeah, that's up against there, and then you probably can't see it, so I'll tell you what I'll do. Don't forget, mind your fingers on these things. Right, so we've got the mark, and you can see how that is moving that. We will obviously, when this is assembled, it comes anti-clockwise, and the tension of the spring, because you'll have on this bar, doesn't show it on there, but on this bar you'll have like your head with your tool attached to it or whatever else you've got on, and you want to bring it into the wheel. So obviously that's what it says, you do the divisions back to front on here, it's the only one you do. So when you're screwing out, that bar gets pressed in. There's a spring, I think, in the other end there. Yes, there is. And obviously when you get to whatever size you want, you lock it off with that cotter pin. Anyway, I think that's how it works. He kept flashing it off camera then. the job, that is. So I think that's that piece done. Hurrah, hurrah, hurrah. Like I say, the numbers I will get etched at a later date. There's no way that's coming back off there now. I don't know how. Let's have a laugh. Oh, you can. You start to move it, it will come off. You can see it's beginning to go there. So you can roll it off. But for the time being, it's bally well staying on there. Right, thank you for watching. Back soon, hopefully with another bit.